gosh, my nostrils flare. How many of you can stick their whole thumb in their nostril? I can. My nostrils are huge. Hello, hi. My name is Paige. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry if you hear a motor mower. It is a motor mower. Why am I... Motor mower? Yes. Sorry if you can hear that. I can't. Anyway. I'm going to be telling the story about the demon that was at the end of my bed. I do kind of struggle not to say all of this with a laugh and with a smile, purely because I don't really want to believe that it happened, even though I know it did, because it only happened last year. Yeah, last year to me. So I wasn't a child. I wasn't thinking back on a memory. Memory? You know when you say a word too much and then it sounds weird? Memory. Either or. When you look back on a memory and you kind of don't know whether it's true or not, if that makes sense. So this happened last year to me, so I know it definitely happened. It really freaked me out. I do believe in the supernatural. I've never really had too many malevolent or evil things happen to me though. I've been losing sleep over this for probably the last month. If I start to think about it too much, my boyfriend, he wakes up at about 2:45 to go to work. So I know that 3 AM is like peak time, and it scares the crap out of me when he goes because no one's in the house and I'm kind of awake, and then I start hearing noises like my cat. He wakes up and then I kind of wake up and I start freaking out. Nothing has happened in this house. I do kind of get scared, but I know nothing is really happening here. Basically, this all started with my friend. She was telling me a story about things that were happening to her at night. Like she was seeing shadows and could hear like rats or like scratching in the walls and that kind of thing. And she was telling me, and I was so shocked by it because I'm an adult, and when I'm speaking to someone else who is, you know, you're not kids like making up stories. I mean, you'd hope an adult wouldn't really make something up like that, but I know she wasn't. Anyway, I've gone home that night, I think it was, or maybe even the next night. I was watching conspiracy theories like Shane Dawson, and I started going down a rabbit hole of just watching things that would happen to other people and like scary experiences. I was reading Reddit threads, all of that kind of... Should put that on. Put that on silent. I freaked myself out. I've then started to watch comedy because it made me, you know, feel a bit lighter and happier. And then my boyfriend's come home from work and this was his room at his place. I've kind of told him what I've been watching, and you know, he kind of like brushes it off because he doesn't really think too much into that stuff at all. And we've gone to bed a couple of hours later, whenever it was. So I slept on the right hand side of the bed and he was on the left, and I have a bedside table next to me, and we had lights in the room, but they were fairy lights. It wasn't like if you flicked on a bedside lamp and it was like heaps of light. Like. He's gone to bed first, I'm pretty sure, then I've fallen asleep a bit later. I think I was reading, something positive as well. I wasn't reading anything scary again. Gone to bed, all the lights are off. I have woken up at, I think it was about 3:10. I remember clicking my phone and freaking out internally because I'm like, oh, it's prime time. Prime time. I've gone to roll over, so I'm on my right hand side looking at the wall. I've gone to roll over to like face my boyfriend, and there's someone standing at the end of the bed. It scared me so much because I legitimately thought it was an actual person standing there, and I've shoved myself back and went to scream and nothing came out, which scared me even more that I was that shocked that nothing came out, and it was just staring at me. And the more I actually looked at it, I thought my eyes were going funny. I thought I was just seeing something. And apparently when people stare at shadow people, they disappear. Well, that's what I've been reading anyway. Crazy thing is, what I actually am about to describe, and once I Google searched after making this video, I freaked out because it looked exactly the same. It was like a shadow person. It was a man in the big, like, it would have looked like a trench coat if you actually could see the person. I could just see the shadow, and like a fedora hat. I felt frozen, which is where subconsciously it came in thinking like sleep paralysis, and I was like, hold on, but I'm moving around. I was just staring at him and I couldn't look away as much as I wanted to. I could see in my peripheral vision everything in the room. I think that's what made the shadow so much darker. because it was a pitch black room. I've leant down and flicked on the fairy lights and he's disappeared. It wasn't bright, but it was obviously enough for me to really focus on the room then. My heart rate was through the roof. I was freaking out. I gave myself, I think it would have been like at least 5 to 10 minutes that I was sitting there so shocked. I wanted to go back to sleep obviously, because I feel like once it's daytime that stuff doesn't really happen. Well, that's all I was thinking. I've laid back down, I've rolled underneath my boyfriend, so I've put his shoulder and arm on top of me, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, like I feel safer, so I'm gonna try and go back to sleep. I don't know how much time had passed by this point. So I flicked off the light and I had my eyes closed on purpose because I didn't want to see anything if it came again. My boyfriend's arm became like iron. It was like, and on my chest so hard, and I had to shove his arm to get it off me, which now, yeah, it's so impossible, and it creeped me out so much, and now looking back on it, it does still scare me. I've turned on the light again, freaking out, and then he was doing this thing in his sleep, which he does do a lot, but it was the first time I ever heard it. You know when you scratch the top of your mouth, it's like, I can't really do it, but it's really loud and it makes this noise, and he did it in threes, which really scared me for some reason. It just sounded wrong, like I was like, no, I'm good. So the lights were on. I have a Bible next to my bedside table, so I've picked it up and I've held it because it gives me comfort in those kind of moments when I'm really freaking out. I've turned off the light again, but my eyes were open and the figure came back. Flicked it back on because it scared out of me. It's like, I'm good. I'm just gonna try and sleep with the light on now. I have got the Bible next to me, I've laid down. So I had a wood bed frame, and then behind it was the wall. So the bed was against the wall. Behind the wall in the house was the lounge room. I know for a fact that the other 3 guys that were living there was no way that they would be awake at that time. They all either had uni or work, and it was a weeknight, I remember that. And then I've heard right next to my head, which a lot of people tend to hear apparently, is like that, right next to my head. And I just remember going, no. No. No, sorry. No. That was the last thing I remember before I did fall asleep. I was so scared. I remember curling up in a ball and just being like, nah, no, not opening my eyes, not giving into anything. I'm good, I'm going to bed. The next day, I've spoken to my friend at the start of this story who told me about these things happening to her. I've seen her and I've told her what happened, and she was so shocked. I remember she was like, I've had nothing happen to me. Like, since I've spoken to you about it, nothing has happened to me. And the really crazy and cooked part about this is the person who told her the story previous, once my friend started having things happen to her, her friend had things stop happening. So it was like this thing was attaching onto people, and I don't really research like that kind of stuff, so I don't know if I've like opened up myself to like actually being able to see something that was there that I might not have previous. I don't know how to explain how scared it made me feel. Unbelievable. Looking back at it, I know some people have experiences with shadow people, and it's kind of like, oh, why are you here? Do you need to like move on to, you know, heaven or the light? They're not malevolent, they're not evil. And I 100% felt sick and like just evil from this thing. It was just no, yeah, no, yeah. That's the most Aussie thing ever. I'm so scared now about like sleep paralysis, and I know like a lot of stories where people can't move and there's just something like on their face, like staring at them, and that just scares me so much to think that that could actually happen. That's why I wanted to talk about this story, because, you know, I wonder if like other people have had this happen to them. Obviously I know a lot of people have, but like comment down below if you have. I'd love to actually hear about it. Yeah, so please give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more. I don't have an outro, so it's... say hi. Oh, cuddle kitty. She never stays that long. I thought she was going to sit on my lap, and no, just got a flick in the face by the tail on the way past.